Hey everybody, welcome to the last video in our 3-video series on 3 basic rules for clear writing. The previous 2 videos covered parallel structure and active versus passive voice, and this last video will cover the topic of using real verbs or using active verbs. And you had actually some reading in your reading requirements for this week. So if you haven't done the readings yet, that's okay. Just take a look at them after this. If you already have read those, good for you. This will sound very familiar to you. So let's look at what I actually mean by real verbs. And before I do that, I'm actually going to talk about what I call wimpy verbs. So wimpy verbs are not the strongest verbs. We need them, we use them all the time, they're perfectly fine. We just want to make sure that we try to use stronger or stronger verbs more frequently than these. So wimpy verbs are do, have, make, take, occur, get, cause, become, seem, feel, look, be. Right? Sound familiar? Absolutely. All of these come up in our writing and in our speaking very, very frequently, and it's perfectly fine. But when writing for a more sophisticated audience in a more formal way, such as academic writing, these overusing those verbs can water down our impact of our story, of our narration. So let's look at some strong verbs and how to bring in strong verbs into our writing. So here are two sentences that use, wimpy verbs. The first one is an increase of speed to 50 kilometers per hour was seen to occur. First of all, there's this whole passive thing going on there, right? Remember the last video, passive voice. And the second example with the wimpy verb is caffeine intake caused an acceleration in heart rates. Again, both sentences are grammatically perfectly fine. They probably could work in a sentence, in a paragraph or a text. But if you look at them on a sentence level, there's probably a way that we can shape them up a little bit. So here is the rewrite for that. So rather than saying an increase of speed to 50 kilometers was seen to occur, let's focus on the real verb that's actually hidden in there by the noun increase. So I'm going to use that as my verb. Speed increased to 50 kilometers. And it also, goes away from that strange passive construction, was seen to occur. Who was doing the seeing, for crying out loud, right? Second example, caffeine intake caused an acceleration in heart rates. Again, let's use the strong verb. Again, the verb is hiding somewhere in a noun in the previous sentence. So the rephrasing is caffeine intake accelerated heart rates. The advantage of doing this by focusing on strong verbs and really looking for, okay, what's the action taking place here? And am I expressing that in the verb, right? For increase of speed, we made that our verb. We made an acceleration, accelerate. The advantage of doing that is also that it probably in most cases shortens your sentences. So if you're looking for trimming down some writing where you can only write 500 words or only 200 words, this is a good way to do that. So I mentioned in the example, let me go back to that. So we made the verb increase out of the noun increase and the verb accelerate out of the noun acceleration. Let's look at actually the process, what that's called. It's called nominalization or vampire nouns, right? Because these somehow these beautiful, these nouns have vampired the actual verb and hidden, its clarity. So the verb here, it could be conclude, analyze, explain, assess. Often by putting an ending to it, we come up with these nouns that we often think sound very research and sophisticated, but often really can obscure meaning. So conclusion, analysis, explanation, assessment. The preference is always on a clear verb rather than a nominalized version of it in most cases. So let's look at some examples of common nominalizations: analysis, comparison, conclusion, deduction, determination, and so on and so on. You'll see the list. All of these have a really strong verb hidden in them. I'm going to go from the back: speculate, separate, reduce, react, move, investigate, hypothesize, fail. Right? So a sentence structured around those verbs rather than the nominalized versions of those verbs has probably much more impact on your reader. So let's look at an example with vampire nouns, these nominalizations. Our assessment of the damage led to the conclusion that there was a failure in the structure. Lots of wimpy kind of verbs: was, Lead is sort of on the fence, and lots of nouns, these vampire nouns, that can probably serve us really well if we put them into active verbs. So let's do that. And we come up with this. We assess the damage, also takes care of some of the passive weirdness in the first sentence. We, clear actor, assessed, clear action, the damage, and concluded, again, clear action, that the structure failed. Again, clear action, clear verb, very strong, also about 7 words shorter. So summary, of all these 3 videos, we've covered some basic 3 basic rules for clear writing. I did mention, as I think in the intro video, these all come from a wonderful textbook called Technical Communication by Mike Mankel. I think there must be a newer version, in the 2010 version, out now. It's a very widely used textbook for technical writing courses. I'm actually planning on using it in a technical writing course I'm teaching online in the fall of 18, a 3-credit course. If you're interested, keep your eyes open for that. And those are just 3 examples for making our writing clearer. Adhering to parallel structure, trying to, as much as possible and when appropriate, which is in most cases, using active over parallel voice. And third, using those real verbs, the strong verbs, often hidden in nominalizations or those vampire nouns. Any questions, send me an email, imay@umaryland.edu.